What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Maro, your storyteller for today, and with me we have some Backgrounds Origin Feats in the 2024 Player's Handbook. Yay! I always kept saying that I would try to expand from just doing RPG horror stories, and I'm kind of liking the new format that I'm testing out. It's obviously not perfect, I do want to keep improving on it, but if you can let me know your feedback of these sort of videos down in the description below, I would really appreciate it. Now without further ado, let's check out and see what WotC's trying to do with Backgrounds Origin Feats on the 2024 Player's Handbook. The 2024 Player Handbook has changed the order you move through while crafting your character. Think of it as stepping backwards in time through your character's history. You start with where your character is at the beginning of your game, your class, and look at the road that led them to the heroic points, your background, and finally, look at how you began your life with your species. These are experiences and occupations your character engage in separate from their upbringing and species, and prior to the life as an adventurer. Mechanically, your background contains 5 aspects: ability scores, skill proficiencies, a tool proficiency, starting equipment, and an origin feat specific to your background. While gaining a feat as part of your background is new to the core rules in 2024 Player Handbook, we have seen feats offered at character creation previously as part of optional custom lineage rules in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and a background features recent books like the Book of Many Things. The one big thing that stands out in this post alone is the fact that your ability scores are tied to your background. They give an example for like the Wayfarer, which is basically your urchin. The Wayfarer shares some DNA with the urchin background from 2014 Player Handbook, but represents a larger swath of characters who have fallen through the cracks of urban society. It could be an artful dodger, but it could be also a Phagin? What is that? I thought the urchin background was kind of cool. As long as Wayfarer doesn't take away from the urchin background, I think it's perfectly fine. But either way, let's keep reading. Ability scores. Each background has a list of 3 ability scores to choose from. You can increase one by 2 and another by 1, or you can increase all 3 by 1. The Wayfarer offers you dexterity, wisdom, and charisma. So you tell me that now backgrounds, the new 2014 backgrounds, have a fixed or 3 stats that specifically you choose to upgrade. What if you're playing a wizard and you have intelligence as your highest priority, but you also want to play a Wayfarer because you like that whole idea behind playing a Wayfarer? Can you not choose intelligence as your stat? From what I've read so far on everything they've been bringing in with the new books and stuff, the new Player Handbook, it feels like they're trying to keep saying that they want to do it for the sake of flexibility to make it more flexible. But this doesn't feel flexible or streamlined. It feels oddly, very oddly restrictive. Now, obviously, you could probably just choose a different stat instead of dexterity, wisdom, charisma, because whatever you do at your games is whatever you do at your games. In fact, we actually have something already from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything regarding ability score improvement. The ability score increase, trait, and race reflect an archetypal bit of excellence and adventure of this kind in D&D past. For example, if you're a dwarf, your constitution increased by 2 because dwarf heroes in D&D are often depictionally tough. This increases doesn't apply to every dwarf, just to dwarf adventures, and exists to reinforce an archetype. The reinforcement is appropriate if you want to lean into the archetype, but it's unhelpful if your character doesn't conform to the archetype. If you like a character to follow their own path, you may alter your ability score increase, trait, and assign your ability score increase tailored to your character. Take any ability score increase you gain your race or subrace and apply to ability score of your choice. If you gain more than 1 increase, you can apply those increases from the same ability score, and you can't decrease a score above 20. I am baffled. I am genuinely baffled, and I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy. I know I kind of sound a little bit negative Nancy with last video on the races and species, but like, what is WotC doing? What sort of mushrooms are they huffing, and can they please share? You'd think more flexibility would be the way to do things, and from what I've read through the other posts they've made, it seems like the flexibility was their biggest strength they're trying to push, so it feels really strange for them to make it so restrictive with backgrounds of all things. Is this a balancing issue, or is this like part of the feedback? People just really wanted their stats be restricted by specific like background. Currently in D&DBeyond, they even have for some of the newer like Owlin, some of the newer races or species, have this post here about the ability score improvement. When you determine your character's ability score, increase 1 score by 2 and different score by 1. Increase 3 scores by 1. And you can just do it for whatever your character is trying to go for. Even with my campaign, like all my players, we just use this rule regardless of what you're playing. You can go with original stats if you want. Like if you like dwarves, the fact they start with a +2 to con and you want to keep that, go ahead, nobody's gonna stop you. I ain't gonna stop you. But if you wanted to have a bit more flexibility and make a dwarf that's more of a monk, increase that +2 into dexterity or wisdom, but be my guest, do whatever you want. It may seem like I'm nitpicking, it's just kind of weird to be like, hey, restrictions, you know, it's just kind of odd. Origin feat. Each background has a specific origin feat that best represents a talent your character developed while living this portion of their life. The Wayfarer background grants you the lucky feat. Listen, I'm not gonna complain. We're getting a free feat at level 1. That's awesome. But like, why not just let your player choose to get any feat they want at level 1? That would give you so much flexibility, so much room for activities. I'm not saying getting a lucky feat is a bad thing in this case. A lucky feat is awesome, but like, what if I didn't want a lucky feat? Do I have to choose a different background for it? Or can I just, you know, swap in, swap out? Skill proficiencies. Your background grants you proficiency to specified skills. For Wayfarer, you gain proficiency in inside stealth. Understandable. Tool proficiency. You gain proficiency in a specific tool that would be commonly used in your background. For the Wayfarer, this proficiency is Thieves' Tools. This is the equipment your character starts with the game with, but you can choose to opt out of the starting equipment and start with 50 gold to spend on the equipment of your choice. The Wayfarer begins with 2 daggers, a set of Thieves' Tools, a gaming set of your choice, a bedroll, 2 pouches, and a set of traveler's clothes, and 16 gold. Now, since I brought up the urchin background, saying that the Wayfarer is basically the new urchin, or like a new combination of urchin plus more, or whatever they said. Urchin gives you a skill proficiency in sleight of hand and stealth, gives you 2 proficiencies in disguise kit and Thieves' Tools, gives you a small amount of equipment and 10 gold, and then gives you a feature. The feature for Urchin is City of Secrets. You know the secret patterns of flow to cities that can find passage through the urban sprawl that others would miss. When you're not in combat, you and your companions to lead can travel between any 2 locations in the city twice as fast as the speed would normally allow. Now, I'm probably gonna make some assumptions, but I'm gonna guess that maybe not every DM uses the specific background features out there. Because I guess most players or most DMs out there think the backgrounds don't really matter that much, it's just extra way to get extra skill proficiencies or languages or start with specific equipment and stuff. But I think background features, like the City of Secrets over here, would be exceptionally awesome to utilize in any campaign. In my campaign, there's a bit of travel. The map is pretty sprawling and does take a few days to get from one town to the other. And there's a lot of things you can find out there in wilderness that could benefit you or hinder you. But whenever a party is walking around and traveling together, if they have somebody with the Outlander background and with the Wanderer feature, that is such a massive boon for them. The Outlander in the group, in the party, can find them food that'll be more than enough for them not to use up their rations, but also the Outlander player has excellent memory of maps and geography, so nobody can ever get lost when it comes to traveling with them. A feat is cool, no, I'm not bashing on feats whatsoever. I'm just saying I really like the background features and I like to have players benefit from whatever background feature they got. Even the urchin feature of City Secrets, where you can just weave and travel twice as fast between one place of town to the other, especially if you have campaign with huge towns where it just takes forever, it takes like nearly half a day to get from one side to the other. This is still beneficial and travel through outside of combat in order to get from one place to the other. Maybe you're in an enemy faction town. You gotta get from the streets and skulk away past the guards and stuff. Not every DM is going to be using these background features, but I think they're really awesome. And I love to give my players the ability to truly squeeze every benefit out of these background features. I think they're super cool. I'm not saying the background features aren't cool and all. I mean, being able to get lucky from the Wayfarer is cool and everything, but it's just like, I feel like it just takes away a lot of the flavor and nuance and those special features the backgrounds offer that aren't feats, that aren't spells, that aren't specific attacks or anything or any of that sort. It's specific background features that your DM decides how potent they can be. And if you're playing in my games, I want it to be as potent as freaking possible because I want you to benefit strongly from them. The 16 backgrounds are adding 4 as a baseline. They're probably going to be, I'm betting you they're probably going to suck. You know probably what it is? They're probably putting all this stuff as a player handbook just so they can release another supplementary material like a year or a year and a half later and be like, hey, another material with more backgrounds. Give us some more, 50 bucks. But anyway, let's go ahead and get through them. We got the Acolyte, we have the Charlatan, we have Artisan, Criminal, Entertainer, Guard, Farmer, Guide, Hermit, Noble, Merchant, Sage, Sailor, Soldier, Scribe, Wayfarer. I noticed they don't have Gambler, and I'm upset because I'm a gambler. I like gambling, and they take it away. How dare they? Gambling is so freaking cool. I mean, I guess it could be like a Wayfarer or maybe a Entertainer or, I don't know, a Criminal. a charlatan. I guess charlatan would be the closest to a gambler, but it's not even that either. I don't know, man. But then what do you do if you have like a background? Let's say I have the gambler like background. Currently right now, Mara has gambler background. What do I do if I have like an older background and want to convert it to this new system? Using old backgrounds is character creation. Previous D&D books contain a plethora of backgrounds that are beloved by players. If you don't see your favorite background listed, don't despair. The scribes have scrawled some handy tips to convert a background from an older book to work with your new character using the 2024 Player's Handbook. When using an older background, simply select the ability score you want to add your 3 total points to, so adjusting one score by 2 and another by 1, or 3 scores by 1. So basically, if you have one of the older backgrounds that aren't listed on here, you could just choose how you distribute your ability scores. Why wasn't this baseline? Why isn't that baseline? That would make more sense. It would be way more flexible. It feels like you're getting punished if you choose one of the newer stuff, because you could just take some of the older backgrounds and just be like, hey, I wanted to add the 2 to charisma and 1 to intelligence, regardless of the background that I am. It kind of defeats the points of using the new backgrounds, because it feels like the old backgrounds are just better in a way. I don't know. There's way more flexibility with using the older stuff instead of the newer stuff. If the background you select does not already provide a feat, you gain the origin feat of your choice. So wait, so not only can you choose whatever ability scores you improve, but you can choose any origin feat of your choice regardless of your background if you're using the older backgrounds. Huh? Watsy is pulling some really weird moves and I really don't understand what's going on, dude. Can they share me the mushrooms that are huffing? Because I really want to know. Origin feats, start your journey with a boost. The different types of feats in 2024 Player Handbook: Origin, General, Fighting Style, and Epic Boons. General feats become available at level 4 and may carry other prerequisites tied to ability score or specific armor training. Fighting styles are bestowed by features in your class, and epic boons are available to be chosen by characters at level 19. Origin feats are similar to the features each background got to 2014's Player Handbook, but with mechanics that give them more utility in your adventure's day-to-day life. They represent the talents a character's background will likely have led them to develop, but don't offer boosts to ability scores like some general feats do. These are designed to be abilities that brand new adventurers might possess versus skills that more veteran heroes might have gained on the road. I could see why they go with a new system of giving you an origin feat instead of like giving you a feature for the gambler, like for the your old background, because like the gambler feature was during downtime activities that involve games of chance or figuring odds of the best plan. You can get a solid sense of which choice is likely the best one and which opportunities seem too good to be true at the DM's discretion. I feel like the reason they're changing to origin feats is because they're going to be way more flexible and way more likely to be used than something like a background feature. Well, it depends on if your DM allows it to be used. I understand why they're changing with that. Would it be so prudent not just to give you both? You get a feat of origin and you get your background feature. Best of both worlds. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me, but I really like the idea behind the background features. I feel like it's a little caveat, very specific caveat. Obviously not going to be used all the time, which is why they're changing it. But I still love the idea that certain background features in certain situations can be extremely key. For example, with Failed Merchant, you have the feature Supply Chain. From your time as a merchant, you retain connections with wholesalers, suppliers, and other merchants and entrepreneurs. You can call upon these connections when looking for items of information, and to utilize this feature in a story medium such as D&D would be so cool. It would be amazing. And the fact that we're not going to have this stuff, I mean, I guess you could always just have this stuff anyway. You could do whatever you want to your games, run whatever system, whatever version, 2014 or 2024 version you want, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I feel like the novelty behind the supply chain and retain the connections, because it allows for more story weaving and storytelling and seeding certain moments for DM, for the players to make a more impactful, more flavorful, more vibrant story they're all telling together. But like I said before, it kind of requires the DM and the player to communicate on this stuff and to collaborate on it. And I feel like the only reason that maybe are taking this stuff away is because maybe some of the DMs don't do that, which is, I don't know, man, it's kind of sad to me. I like being able to have my players benefit from these features because I think they're so cool. They're awesome. They're fantastic. And they add a lot more to the character than just rolling dice to see if you hit or rolling skill checks to see if you can make it or break it. Anyway, let's look at the origin feat and descriptions. We got the alert, add your proficiency bonus when you roll initiative. Can also swap your initiative with a willing ally in the same combat. Did they take away alert? Huh? Is this replacing the old alert? Alert in the old book says always look out for danger. Gain the following benefits. +5 bonus to initiative. Can be surprised while conscious. Other creatures don't gain advantage on attack rolls against you as a result of being unseen by you. Did they just remove alert and replace it with an origin feat? I mean, I guess it's not bad. You can swap your initiative with a willing ally in the same combo, which is kind of cool, I think. But adding proficiency bonus when you roll initiative, that means you don't get to start with a +5. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna get more because your proficiency bonus is gonna go up to a +6 eventually. But like all things together, I'd count that as a nerf for the alert feat. And it seems like a lot of other feats as well kind of got a massive change. Crafter, gain proficiency with 3 different sets of artisan tools. Gain a 20% discount on non-magical items. Can craft an item from a fast crafting table, which lasts until you finish another long rest. What is the second part of that feat? The 20% discount for non-magical items. Why does it read like a video game buff that you get just passively? It feels like some sort of like a feature you get after a rep grinding in an MMO or something. It's like, oh, now a bunch of these general stuff is like 20% off for discount and stuff. What if you're playing in a game where, I don't know, you are like a tiefling? Let's say, for example, right, I am a tiefling and I'm a crafter, right? And I enter into a town that maybe doesn't like tieflings so much, you know? Do I still benefit from that 20% discount on non-magical items? Or just because when they don't like me, I don't benefit from it? And in fact, they actually hike up the price by 20%. Who decides this? Do you have an argument with your DM when they don't take off the 20% for story reasons or whatever? What is... What? I'm not saying that it's bad to get a discount whatsoever. I'm not saying that at all. But I much rather in any game would prefer to have my character actually gain favor with different NPCs and gain like a positive like leaning for them to naturally just get the 20% discount instead of picking the origin feat of crafter just to get the 20% discount, you know? Use a little bit of that charisma, bargain somewhere with them, do a little bit of quests for them, gain their favors and stuff like that. Instead of just picking a craft and be like, well, that's a flat % discount on all the ropes and climbing gear and the rations that I get. Healer. When you utilize a healer's kit as an action, a creature can expend 1 hit dice to heal. Your proficiency bonus is added to the roll. When you roll the determined hit points when healing with this feature or a spell, you can re-roll the dice. If it hits a 1, you must use the new roll. Where previously the healer's kit allows you to stabilize a dying creature, that creature also gained 1 hit point, and with healer's kit having 10 uses in total, makes it very economy friendly, I would say. And also as an action, you can spend 1 use of a healer's kit to tend to creature and restore 1d6 plus 4 hit points to it, plus additional hit points equal to creature's maximum number of hit dice. Creature can't regain hit points for this feat again until it finishes a short or long rest. While this new healer feature makes a creature expand a hit dice to heal, which I think would be kind of I don't know. I not like it, the change to heal. I think healer would have been fine as it is, should just be buffed a little bit. But this like, can you grab the origin healer and like can you grab this healer? Like, are these the same one, or the old healer is overwritten with a new one? I just don't get it. Lucky. After finishing a long rest, you have a number of luck points equal to your proficiency bonus. You can expand 1 when you make a d20 test to give yourself advantage. You can also expand 1 to impose disadvantage when creature rolls a d20 to make an attack roll against you. Alright, just kind of updated version of current lucky. Magic Initiate. You gain 2 cantrips and 1 level 1 spell from Cleric, Druid, or Wizard spell list. You can replace them with another spell the same level from the same list when you gain a level. Features Wisdom, Intelligence, or Charisma. Use a spellcasting modifier for these spells when you take this feat. You can cast these spells once per long rest without expending a spell slot. And you can cast them again using a spell slot. This can be taken more than once, but you must choose a different spell list each time. Musician. You gain proficiency with 3 musical instruments of your choice. At the end of a short long rest, you may play the instruments and gain a heroic inspiration to a number of allies equal to your proficiency bonus. Oh my God. Okay, I don't know how I feel about certain features just handing inspiration to people. Typically, I don't know how other games do it, but at my tables, inspiration is given when a DM feels like it's appropriate to give. Like one time I ran a moment where players were just like camping together and they saw a shooting star, and some of them decided to make a wish on a shooting star. And when they decided to make a wish on a shooting star, I gave inspiration. because I thought it'd be kind of neat. Or somebody wanted to play up to the nobility background and they played it to the fullest, the roleplay and everything, and they really poured the heart into it. I want to give them inspiration for that. Whenever players get into the character and are having fun, that's when I usually like to reward inspiration, because I feel like it's appropriate. If my players are having fun, they're having a good time, then I'm also having a good time because my players are having a good time, and this allows me to reward them with a tiny little gesture to basically be like, here you go, next time you get like a bad roll, you can just re-roll inspiration, but here you go, little caveat. But now we have features that straight up just give you inspiration, and it's no longer like an intimate thing that you and your DM decide between each other, like how it's handled. The DM decides on their own how it's handled, or even if they want to run inspiration in general, which I think DMs should be running inspiration. I think that stuff is great, but now you could just gain heroic inspiration to number of allies equal to proficiency bonus. I wonder if you get something in the reverse, if you like roll 1 on like a performance, they give people like heroic depression. It forces them to make a disadvantage roll on the DM's whim or something. I don't know. Savage Attacker. Once per turn, when you hit a target with a weapon attack, you can re-roll the damage dice and use either roll against the target. Skill. To gain proficiency in any combination of 3 skills or tools of your choice. You can take this feat more than once. Tavern Brawler. When you hit an armor strike, you deal 1d4 plus strength modifier. The damage dice to your unarmed strike roll is a 1. You can re-roll it and must use the new roll. Your proficiency with the improvised weapons. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of the attack action, in addition to dealing damage, you can push the target 5 feet away from you. And Tough. When you first gain this origin feat, your hit points maximum increases by twice your character level. Thereafter, your hit points maximum increases by 2 each time you level up. All these origin feats aren't bad. They're good. And I like them, and they're really neat. But like, why couldn't we have an origin feat and then have the background feature? Why couldn't you have both? Well, I mean, I guess you could do whatever you want. You can have both in your current game if you want to. Like, just because WhatsApp puts it down on paper here doesn't mean that you can't do whatever you want in your game. Do whatever you want in your game, obviously. I don't know. I kind of just don't like the selection they have here. Like, on one hand, it's cool and all, but on the other hand, it feels a little bit limiting in general. What if you don't want any of these feats? Why isn't lightly armored on there? So like your casters, your sorcerer and wizard can actually wear light armor, or a linguist having different languages you can obtain just right then and there. Maybe a character traveled far and wide, you're a massive wanderer, they've seen the world, they interact with so many peoples. Maybe they're a merchant and they want to have ability to just like interact with more people in the world. Or maybe you come from like a criminal background, so you can get poisoner as your origin feat, so giving you the experience, the ability to already create and cog different poisons to use in combat. Maybe it's not for a specific bounce reason. Maybe they want to restrict people from being able to pick like Sentinel or Polearm Master from the very beginning, because I know some builds can be kind of like that. Having your ability scores and your origin feat be locked to specific background just kind of feels like it's going to be a little, I don't know, lame. Let's say, for example, you're playing a rogue. You clearly want to have that extra dexterity, and guess what? The Wayfarer comes with dexterity as part of your scores you can put in. Comes with wisdom and charisma, but you don't care too much about that. You just want that extra 2 in dexterity. Wayfarer also comes with proficiency in stealth and insight, which is always beneficial. Thieves tools right then and there, perfect. Equipment even comes with thieves tools as well, so you can just start with having thieves tools already. You get 2 daggers to use as backup weapons if anything. And the lucky feat is part of its origin background, which I think for most rogues out there honestly would be kind of great. I think lucky would just be good all around. But for a rogue trying to reroll the stealth check and stuff like that, I think it would be fantastic. Or trying to go for that sneak attack, because this can give you advantage. It doesn't re-roll your dice, it now gives you an advantage compared to lucky, which just lets you re-roll stuff. So it means your sneak attack could just be imposed anytime you want using lucky. It's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, because ideas are cool on paper, really cool on paper, but I feel like the restriction behind them is just not gonna be as fun for people. So how do you determine the best background for your character? You know how you do that? The one to give you the most amount of stats that you want. Wayfarer gives you wisdom, gives you dexterity, gives you charisma. Well, if you're playing something that's a charisma caster or something with a wisdom caster, or you're playing as a monk or rogue, yeah, you're gonna pick Wayfarer because it really helps you, because they, for whatever reason, need to limit your ability to score choice of freedom, needs to be tied to your background for whatever reason, and your origin feat also need to be tied to your background. But no, if you want to pick up something that's like, I don't know, the the failed merchant, which is not on there, suddenly you could put any ability score any way you want, and then you can pick any origin feat of your choice. It doesn't matter because it's not tied to it, because it's from the older books. I am baffled. I am baffled. Why don't you just make it available for what doesn't matter whichever feat, that you just start with any ability score improvement that you want and any origin feat that you want? I just don't. I'm baffled. I am baffled why this is not just a baseline, why it has to be so like heavily restricted. I don't know how to feel about this, yo. I gotta be honest, I don't know how to feel. What do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this? I put a link for this thing down in the description below if you want to check it out, read it for yourself, and go through the nuances that I didn't get to go through. But like, go ahead, check it out. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this. I think this is kind of like an eh. I think it's all right. I like some of the ideas. I don't like other ideas, like the ability score improvement tie-in. It just feels strange. My favorite part though is like what they say with the old backgrounds: ignore what we done, just do whatever you want. You got Tasha's system, do that. Pick whatever feed you want, doesn't matter. Don't use our restricted system. Come up with your own system and do whatever you want to do. Why couldn't this just be the baseline? This here is how the feats would work. You choose a feat for its skill proficiency or whatever. You pick ability score to go wherever you want. And you pick any origin feat of your choice. The amount of freedom that would be there is fantastic. If they're going for freedom, if they're going for options, if they're going for giving people more flexibility in creating a character, why not just do this and ignore what they've done with the current backgrounds? I just don't understand it, dude. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me today. Sorry for more ranting, but you know what? I'm passionate about D&D, and I'm interested to see what sort of thing WotC cooks up. And I do want to give him credit. There's a rhyme and reason for what they're doing. I just don't agree with it. I think it's just a very silly way to go around it. And I haven't even got to the classes. And I want to get to the class at some point. But like, WotC, if you can send me your shrooms that you're smoking and like eating, I would love to sample some. I would genuinely love to sample some. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye.